Hey guys, this is working. Coming to you guys from my vacation, believe it or not, but couldn't stay away. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update on Bitcoin. Looks like things haven't changed too much since we spoke a few days ago. Everything is still operating within the same resistance and support zones that we discussed before. If this is your first time watching the video, or if you guys remember, for the guys that watched the last video, or remember, we're watching this massive descending resistance line that has been in place since, well, actually going on all the way, it looks like, until at least mid-December when it hit that $20,000 high. And then it's just been continuing down, and it's tested this line since December 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now 6 times. So there's a massive resistance line that we're keeping a good eye on. I mean, it's just amazing how it's been obeying this line, just unable to break out, and now it's reached the apex of a massive support zone that we have from 6,000 to 5,800 or so. I remember it's tested that, let's see, one, two, three, 4 times. So this is a pretty strong zone. If we remember, it tested it all the way down to 5770, was quickly rejected back up a few days ago, and now it's coming back down to retest it. And we're reaching the apex of this support and resistance zone where Bitcoin literally has nowhere else to go. So we're going to know in the next few days what's going to happen with Bitcoin or less. And it's going to be very interesting to watch, guys. Now, if you remember this ascending support line, I'll bring this up again because I do think this is a very critical support line to keep an eye on. I'm calling it the critical support line because this goes all the way back. This support goes all the way back to or actually earlier in 2017. So this support line, technically, we've been in an uptrend since 2017, even though we've gone up to 20K and lost 70% of that. If Bitcoin does drop below this 5,800, I do believe the next stop is going to be this ascending support line here. And if that happens in the next few days, that's probably going to be right around 5,000 or so is where it's going to intersect with the ascending support line. So just things to keep an eye on. If we do break past this descending resistance line, the next resistance line we're going to be keeping an eye on is right here. Zooming way into the 4-hour chart, just to look at the price action over the last few days, we can see we've had some probably the order's kind of stacked right here. How do we know? We can just kind of see how the price line has stacked in this zone right here and then just massively shot up, which tells me there's a lot of unfilled orders sitting right here in this area. As it shot up to about 5,300, entered, depending on where you draw your lines, I'm drawing them at the wicks. I really don't like to cut off the wicks. I know some people do. I sometimes do, but typically I don't. So if we draw the lines at these wicks, we had a wedge right here. Bitcoin broke down out of the wedge. That was kind of expected. What is that? Okay, broke down to the wedge. That was kind of expected, and now it's kind of entering into another little bit of a wedge. Sorry, guys, getting distracted here. My family's wondering where I am. I'm not going to tell them I'm sitting here talking to you. Okay, so let's getting on here. It looks like it's created another little bit of a wedge. You can see the price is getting squeezed tighter and tighter. It's approaching the apex of this wedge again. I would expect Bitcoin to either break up or break down here in the next, probably by the end of the day, would be my guess. I don't know for sure. If it does break out, we need to make sure we're keeping an eye on this resistance line I've got here in orange. That has created, we can see right here, it acted as support. Here it's acted as resistance. I'm going to assume it's going to be resistance again. So what we might see is a break out of this wedge looking very impulsive, and that may just be a bull trap. We know Bitcoin is infamous for trapping the bulls. So we may see a breakout, hit the resistance line, and immediately dump back down to retest that 6,000 to 5,800 support. If it does break out of this resistance line, that'd be a big win for the bulls. That would be a big win for the bulls. I mean, if I was if I was actually sitting home trading right now, which I'm not, it's killing me. I'm on vacation. I promised I wouldn't. I would probably play a quick short position, or excuse me, I would probably play I would probably buy and target somewhere thereabouts, probably there about the resistance line. I'm just brainstorming out loud, guys. That's just my opinion. Certainly not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. If I didn't say that before. But assuming this resistance line holds, I would expect it to jump back down and to test this support. I would say probably around 5,900, 5,900, somewhere thereabouts is where these orders are going to start to get filled. and we can probably expect a lot of resistance right around that area. Just a guess, just a guess. We may get some resistance there, it may shoot up, or we may get some consolidating or so. We'll see, but I would expect some resistance in that 5900 area if it does break down. Just once again confirming this resistance here, or excuse me, this support zone here. All right, going into my count, I do still believe that we're on a WXY pattern as we talked about before. If you don't know what that is, just connects two ABC corrective patterns with a middle, with a failed wave in the middle. That's denoted as X. We're on wave C now. We're looking for bottom of wave C. Is the bottom already in? As I told you guys before in my last video, it might be. It very well might be. Or we may have some more downside to go. I know that sounds wishy-washy, but you know, I don't know what else to say, guys. We may or may not have seen the bottom, and there's evidence, you know, that you could make a case either way. So let's try to look at some of the evidence going forward here. Right now, evidence for seeing the bottom, we've got bullish divergence on the daily chart here, bullish divergence on the MACD as well as on the RSI. And more recently on the RSI, which tells me that, you know, that just is a little bit more evidence that we're starting to get the MACD and the RSI are starting to jive with each other a little bit more, which tells me, you know, maybe we have seen the bottom. Do I think we have? No, I don't think we have, but I'm more convinced than I was a few days ago. I'm starting to lean more that way. I'm probably a little, whereas a few days ago I would tell you I'm at probably maybe 30% we've seen the bottom. Now I'm at maybe 35, 40% maybe we've seen the bottom. But I still lean a little more bearish, but we'll discuss that later. Right now we do have bullish divergence on both the MACD and the RSI on the daily chart. You know, we'll have to see what happens with that, guys. We may see a little bit of an uptick followed by a downtick, or you know, that may be the bottom. It's just interesting to note. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we're starting to move sideways, which is also, hang on one second, guys. I've got to answer this. Hang on one second. Okay, guys, sorry about that. So the 4-hour MACD is starting, it looks like it's starting to flatline. We did have a little bit of a rally, and now it's just starting to flatline. It often does this, guys, right before it's going to break one way or another. If we look back here, we can see we had a little bit of flatline before it broke down. Also down here before it broke up. So I would expect a break here very, very soon. Looking at the 1-day MACD, we're seeing exactly the same thing. We are seeing that completely flatline, even more so than the 4-hour, just completely flatline here at the bottom. I mean, almost to the point to where I can't tell what's on top of what, and they're completely almost on top of each other. The MACD line and the trend line are literally laying on top of each other, and that is, I mean, that's pretty unusual to see. The other day we discussed this. I showed you how the histogram is getting squeezed tighter and tighter. I think I said the other day, I don't think it can get squeezed any tighter. I was wrong. It got squeezed tighter. I mean, we are at a point to where Bitcoin has got to break one way or another. I mean, it doesn't have to, but more than likely probability it's going to break one way or another, because at this point it literally cannot get squeezed any tighter. It's more than likely going to break one way or another. The question is, which way is it going to break? I know that sounds wishy-washy, guys. I know that sounds, oh, it's going to go up and go down. I hear some people say that's brilliant. You know, I get it. I do. I get it. This is, you know, this is analysis. This is not technical fact. This is just all we can do. All I can do is show you guys the signs, and you have to make up your own mind as to what to do. All we can do here is tell you it looks like it's going to break in one direction or another. Once we get confirmation, ride the wave, guys. You ride the wave. You don't try to swim upstream. You try to figure out which way the stream is running and swim with the stream. So right now we don't know. Let's wait and see which way it's going, and then we can decide whether or not we're going to buy or sell. Looking at the 1-day RSI, we're still barely operating within this wedge. We've had this descending resistance line and support line here at the bottom. We had a little bit of a breakout. We called that a bull trap before. It was a bull trap. It went immediately back into the wedge, and now it's testing the resistance line again. Again, this lends more credibility to the fact that Bitcoin cannot continue like this much longer. It's got to make a decision. It's either going to break this resistance or it's going to drop, one or the other. Looking at my bullish count, I slightly revised this from last time. I can't remember I can't remember if I had this like this a few days ago or not. But counting this, if all 5 waves are in, and this is a big if, and if we have seen the bottom, my bullish count now has got a wave 1 here. I know the wave 1 does not look relative to wave 3 or wave 5 here. It looks a lot shorter. I get that. That's still technical though, guys. That's still a good count. There is still 5 waves into 1 here. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If that is in fact the bottom, I've got the subwaves marked out, and the bottom would be here at 5770. We spiked back up, and now we're down for a wave 2, and coming up for, excuse me, the wave 2 would have already been in, as we'll see here in a minute, and now we're up on a wave 3. Again, subwaves are in pink, and primary waves are in blue, if you can't read there. And this would complete our WXY pattern, and now we'd be on our impulse of 5 waves up. Zooming in closer, lending a little bit of credibility to that bullish count, giving us some hope. We can see that this being the 1 here at the bottom of 5770 going all the way up to about 6330, and then coming back down for, we thought last time, I believe we were right here looking for a bounce around 382, a fib level. Went right through that. We got a little bit of a reaction here at the 0.5 fib level, came back up. This would have been, this looked like it was heading up for a nice wave 3, and then it just crashed down and bounced off the 0.618 fib. Now that is the golden ratio. The reason I'm pointing this out is because once it bounces right off the 618, a lot of the, obviously guys, a lot of this, a lot of people that trade, trading isn't like it used to be. You're having to figure out which way the algorithms are adjusted, and try to, again, not fight the stream, not try to swim upstream, but try to swim with the stream to try to figure out which way the algos are going. We had a nice bounce perfectly off the 618 right here, so I know that woke up a lot of algorithms to this possibly being a wave 3, possibly. Not all of them, but possibly. The downside is, guys, is if this was in fact a wave 3 is often the longest and the strongest, and it's just kind of fizzled out right here. So, we'll see. We'll see. I just thought it was very interesting. It literally bounced right off of the 0.618 fib level. Zooming into the bullish count, so we've got a 1, a 2 here at the bottom. These are the subwaves we're looking at from the prior picture. These are the subwaves. The target for wave 3, targeting a 1-to-1, just 100% of wave 1. 1-to-1 ratio would be just about the target of 6577 or so. That's a conservative target. If we do break through this resistance line here, I would expect it may go a lot. We're going to have a lot of steam to break through, and if it does, it may go a lot higher. As we said earlier, wave 3 is often the strongest and the longest of the waves. So, oftentimes it goes much higher than just a 1-to-1 ratio of wave 1. So, we may see it jump up here into 6.9, who knows. But for right now, just keeping it conservative, targeting about 6.577 or so, and just waiting to see. Looking at my bearish count, this is still my primary count. I hate to say it, guys, but it is still my primary count. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I'm leaning a little bit more bullish than I was before, even though I'm still majority bear. I'm leaning a little bit more bullish than I was, maybe about 35% or so, whereas before I was maybe 25, 30%. But anyway. My bearish count does have us in 5 waves down. Here, I know you guys are going to see this. Notice this wave 1 is different. I've got a longer wave 1, whereas my bullish count had wave 1 here. I've got wave 1 targeting, or excuse me, I've got wave 1 ending right here at this point, right around 8,000. Excuse me, to give us our continuous 5 waves down. That is still technical, guys. Yes, I know that some guys are they don't like that. They want me to be consistent. This consistently be a wave 1. This is a wave 1. Both technically are correct at this point. Oftentimes we don't know which count is correct until this plays out, and we're not going to know which count is correct until this plays out. If that sounds like a cop-out to you, well, then every technical analyst you talk to, you might as well just disregard what they're saying, because it can be counted many different ways, guys. This is just another variation of a count, another possible contender that does obey all the laws of Elliott wave, and it's just a possible count. So we've got the subwaves highlighted again here in pink. We are on wave 1 is in. Wave 2, we've probably seen the top, and now we are on wave 3. Zooming into my bearish count, you can see I've targeted wave 3 at about 5248. That's again a 1-to-1 ratio, a conservative target. It may go lower, but I would guess probably around 5.2, 5.248 or so is a decent target for now. Assuming we come up to wave 4 and then back down to a wave 5, assuming this is the top of wave 4, and that's where wave 5 begins. Wave 5 should, if I just target a 1-to-1 ratio, which typically at least you're going to target a 1-to-1 ratio of the prior wave, at least. If I did that, it would come down a lot lower than I have it right now. So why am I listing the bottom of wave 5 where I am? I'm doing it because, guys, you can barely see it here, but this is where that ascending support line I was discussing earlier, what I called the critical ascending support line, this is where it intersects. And I would expect if it does end up coming down to this area that wave 5 would more than likely bounce off of that ascending support line. That is a strong support line, guys. So that's why I'm ending. That's why I'm putting wave 5 where I am on my bearish count. And guys, with that, I've got to get back out to my family. I wish you guys all the best. Stay safe out there. Make sure you're trading. Don't trade with any more than you could afford to lose. This market's obviously volatile, and it could literally break, in my opinion, this market could break in either direction right now. So stay safe out there. If you guys like this video, please let me know in the comment section below. If you didn't like this video and you want to tell me off, go ahead and let me know that below as well. We take them all, comments, criticisms, whatever you got, guys. If you did like it, though, give me an upvote. I'd certainly appreciate that. It just lets me know you guys enjoy the video and you want me to continue to do them. Until now, or excuse me, what's that? All right, I got to go, guys. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. This is Working signing out.